After hearing about Brooklyn Center damages to buildings, I decided to take a spin around and check it out for myself and take some photos. I noticed right away that the damage was not as extensive as Lake Street, mainly possibly because of no burning that I noticed. I heard Walmart was looted. Don't know the extent of damages. I'm sitting in my vehicle wondering how I'm going to photograph everything with barricades all around the Walmart parking lot. I figure I'm not going to get in. And I see this vehicle driving down the road of the parking lot and squeeze itself into the barricade and start pushing the barricade off to the side with the vehicle's bumper. And I'm sitting there looking at this going, man, this guy is like a little bit more courageous than me. That's creative and courageous at the same time. Courageous. And a police car is going down the same street of the parking lot and goes up behind this car. And I'm waiting for something to go down here, but the police car seems really, if you can attribute personality to a car, the police car seemed pretty happy about it or fine. So I'm assuming that there was a worker or somebody the police car knew. National Guard was there, and their presence wasn't immediately noticed by myself, but once you round a corner or two, it's obvious the National Guard was there. I read in the paper there could be 1,000 National Guard helping out, but in that particular area I only saw 25 to 30. But that doesn't mean that National Guards were inside buildings or not. How many? Don't know. I approached 2 National Guard members and asked them if I could get beyond the barricades to do some photographs and get more detailed imagery of what's going on. They said no. And I asked, well, can I take a picture from across the street at all that's going on? They said, yeah, go ahead. So I did. I took a couple pictures here and there and went to photograph some more stores that were barricaded. Just because a building has been boarded up does not necessarily mean that there has been damage to the building. Some people have preemptively boarded up their establishments, and some were actually boarding it up while I was photographing. One other building was prepping to board up further, and I know the SA was working on it. The 3 major banks in the Brooklyn Center area are Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and TCF. All 3 of the major banks in the area had something going on to some degree. I know that's vague, but with the National Guard down the road, I didn't want to pry off plywood and start investigating for myself. The Wells Fargo seemed, because of the window on the door being boarded up, it seemed, and this is an assumption, that it was broken into. I don't know how many cash machines or ATMs were in the vicinity without cash being removed. Yet I found 2 that were in close proximity to one another, labeled no cash, very clearly, to anyone who may or may not be wondering if there was cash in those particular ATM machines. ATMs. Does everybody get that it's ATM and not ATM machine because its automatic teller machine is in the ATM? So to say ATM machine is saying essentially a automatic teller machine. At some point, I noticed a squadron of sheriff cars going in procession towards, I want to say, the old Target area. But then when I kind of went poking around, investigate, like, hey, what's up with that? Where did they go? And I eventually figured out from afar that there was a staging area for buses. So there was about 7, 8 buses, and I could only guess or assume that they were going to be used for transportation if civil unrest got out of hand and people stayed out of the curfew time allotment. I did go over to, I had to go to several gas stations, and I noticed that this didn't dawn on me at first, but as I was looking around to try to find an ATM that was actually working, I noticed that the outlining areas far from Brooklyn Center had more people than they normally had. And it was kind of something you notice, and that's a helicopter out there. I should check on curfew news, but there on the outlining areas in the Brooklyn Center area, there's more people visiting out along the outskirts, and it dawned on me. It's like, well, that's because everything's boarded up in the Brooklyn Center area, and it's difficult to find anything you might need, so everybody's going out to the outlining areas. And at one of those areas on the far, I talked to one of the cashiers at a gas station, and he admitted he was working a 24-hour shift. And I was like, why? Why are you working a 24-hour shift? He's like, well, everybody's calling in sick and saying they're afraid to come to work. I'm like, do you think they are afraid? He's like, well, I think some of them are just using it as an excuse. But personally, for me, I know of people who have quit jobs in certain high crime areas that they don't want to work there anymore because it's completely unsafe to them, and I would believe it. The store clerk mentioned where he was from and alluded to a conversation he had with his friends about what's safer, where they're from or America. And he concluded, yeah, I tell him all the time, America is still safer.